Yes, it's a bit long. Pioline thought so too. But Edberg, what would you expect? He will persist, and he is doing it. Well, there's the slightest chance at all. 4-3, sorry, 4-3. But I suppose in a way almost more his wife, Annette. The camera hasn't found her yet, but she's sitting just behind this lot. That's Magnus Larsson in there, right in the centre. She's sitting behind with Tony Pickard. Edberg's coach all these years. His wife Janet sitting next to him.
Well, that's the sort of play that Pioline can produce, moving his man from side to side, far wider than most players can achieve. Last thing Edberg wants.
Searing backhand pass, the backhand volley. We'll remember those.
Yeah, a trademark shot that, wasn't it? Just that wonderful style.
Remember those and the charm, I think, of the man. The endless sportsmanship. I put him alongside Arthur Ashe and Stan Smith. I think of all the players I've watched, of whom I'd have said that. Balls for the placement.
40-15.
2 points for 5-3.
Great return out of the blue here. At full stretch, just falling in.
Game.
5-3 and 2 sets.
5-3.
French all smiles, which is as it should be. But even if he wins in this next game, or perhaps on his own serve in the game after that, it will unfortunately give even Pioline less than the full satisfaction that he deserves.
15-5.
It's been a day when fate has played a scurvy trick.
He's shown a good appreciation in the match, Pioline, when to move forward, what volleys to pick off.
points for pioline, for France to take a lead of 1-love on the first day of this year's Davis Cup final.
Thank you. Better ready.
It's going to be in, it is in. All credit to Cedric Pioline. It wasn't easy for him at all, because he had to shut his mind to the problems of Stefan Edberg. But any fair-minded person would have wanted today, so far as Edberg was concerned, to have been a celebration at the end of a quite outstanding career for one of the great sporting gentlemen. And it's just an awful sadness that it hasn't happened that way, but that's the way it happens sometimes. 2.5 hours, and the French celebrate, but with it there's an awful sense of regret here, which I'm sure, Bill, you share.
I agree with all you said there, Jerry, absolutely. Interesting that at the end of the match, Yannick Noah went to the French team before going to even his own player. And the niceties, of course, of Davis Cup play, team competition, are that the opposition congratulate each other and commiserate with each other first before going to your own player. Well, I mean, Edberg, what can you say? He fought the good fight, as he always has done. You can do no more. He played clearly with an injury from early on in the match. He played some little bits of his own glorious tennis, but unforced errors. Let's forget statistics. What are they about in a match like this? I mean, Pioline served better, that's all, I think. And Edberg did his best and showed, I think, tremendous guts to produce what he did produce in that match. Full credit, as you said, Jerry, to Pioline, though, for going on with his thing and winning a match which couldn't have been easy for him either.
And now we can only speculate what will happen. He's, according to the draw, Edberg, to play the 5th rubber. Will he be fit enough? He's got a day off, doubles tomorrow, and I'm sure the medical people will be working on the ankle, but whether or not he can recover in time really seems problematical.
Well, let's just hope he can. Let's assume he's going to. Yeah. Let's hope.
Where do you place him, Bill, among the players, the champions of through the years you've been watching?
Well, behaviour-wise, I certainly don't place him as the best player of all the players I've been watching. That accolade has to go, I think, to people like John McEnroe. Well, I think, I don't know, Becker, certainly he's up there with the best. For behaviour, for manners, for deportment, for character, for guts, which he's shown today, for style, for volleys. He's right up there in my book with the very best that have ever been on a tennis court.
Nice guys deserve a better fate than has been dealt to Stefan Edberg today, but that's often the way of the world.
Yeah.
And he's the sort of person, knowing him, who in the end will come to terms with that and look back on the good things and not spend too much time fretting over the bad.
Listen,
things.
he's just got a career which he has just got to be so proud of. And everybody who's known him, his country, his wife, $20 million of prize money, he's okay for his future.
Yes, he's adorned the game. Sweden have had 3 #1 players in the men's game in a very short period of time. First Borg, then Wilander, and then Edberg. And in terms of charm, you'd have to say that Edberg topped the lot.
Yeah.
And today he's just had the most awful finish, and one feels for him. France lead 1-love, the start of this year's Davis Cup final.
Yes, 2 hours 30, perhaps the last 2.5 hours, Peter Fleming, of Stefan Edberg's playing career. We feel in the studio quite strongly, I think, that he's going to struggle to be able to get out and do some work on Sunday now. I
think so, yeah. It's certainly the way it usually happens is that when you sprain an ankle or twist an ankle or whatever, that you can play on that particular match, but then when you get off the court and your body cools down, the ankle starts to swell, and it takes a lot more than 2 days to get better. It would take at least a week, sometimes 3 weeks if it's bad. It was tempting to think that we might see one last heroic effort from Edberg, but it obviously wasn't possible today. I mean, if it was possible, he would have done it. Certainly, you could see right away that he was very tentative in his movement, and it was a little muscle on the outside of his, or a little tendon on the outside of his foot that runs up your calf, and it enables you to go up on your toes, and he couldn't. you know, his first serve, or first volley rather, you know, he couldn't push off. So balls that he normally would cover at the net easily, he was struggling to, and then Pioline was like shooting fish in a barrel. You know, it was pretty easy from there.
And as much as the physical injury and the limit that puts on you with the pain, it's the mental thing, isn't it? I mean, he was going at 1,000 miles an hour probably between his ears, but there's just nothing he could do.
In the the end of the first set and the beginning of the second set, you could see that he was in a panic. He really didn't know what to do, and then it appeared as though he calmed down and thought, okay, well, this has happened to me, and I have to try and make the best of it. And he just wasn't physically good enough because he couldn't cover the court. So.
I thought the tactics were fairly obvious right from the start, weren't they? I mean, Edberg has made a career out of getting on into the net and really making an opponent struggle. I thought there was a particularly good example from the first set here, the way Edberg gets in and the way Pioline also, Peter, deals with it.
Well, exactly. Pioline's strength are his ground strokes and his ability to pass, because he rarely comes to net, so the match usually ends up an opponent attacking and Pioline passing. Now, here's that Edberg approach that we see so often. Now, can we stop it there, please? Stop it. Hello. Okay, from that position...
You're classic, you are.
Thank you very much. Edberg here was in a very strong position. Pioline completely out of court. So, had Pioline tried to rocket a passing shot here or there, he really would have had to hit the ball on the line. And from this position...
That's nailing the angles, Edberg, right?
Well, Edberg has most of the court covered. From this position, all he had to do was be just to reach the ball or pick it right, and he's got the whole court wide open. Okay, let's run it on now. Pioline, though, Pioline plays...
It's perfect.
Just a perfect little dink pass. The strategy behind it really is just to neutralize the attacking player and buy yourself time to get back into the court and hope that he doesn't put it away. And that shot was so good that Edberg couldn't even reach it.
Before the injury at 3-2 in the first set, every game was tight. It was beginning to look like, well, this had 5 sets written all over it. It was quite a slow, methodical start, wasn't it? A lot of nerves around to start the match.
Well, I think we expected that from Edberg and certainly Pioline. Anyone playing the opening match in a Davis Cup final is going to be very nervous. Well, the quality of tennis was very high, but still, they were both struggling to hold serve. They hadn't quite gotten their serving rhythm, yeah, it was starting out promising.
Indeed. The first big break came Pioline's way. Edberg serving at break point down at 3-4. And this is the way to deal with a serve volley. Straight back down to the feet, gets it popped up, moves into the court and pop. And it was at that point that the match, well, really began to get away from Stefan Edberg. I mean, Pioline is... You know, if he was 30 or 40 or 50 in the world, you'd think Edberg might have a chance even if he was injured, just because he knows so much, really, Peter. But injured, no chance against Pioline.
Pioline is number 21 in the world and probably a bit better than that, I think. He had a stretch in the beginning of the year when he was playing excellent tennis, and I thought he was going to rocket into the top 10 again. I think he's fighting off a bit of a back problem, or has recently had that, and so maybe he isn't quite as confident as he was then, but he's a very good player.
To win a match in a Davis Cup final, a great achievement, even against an injured opponent.